billion to a new level of $28.98 trillion, which is what the Treasury says it requires to keep the government open. Now the government will be open until December as Democrats face an October 31st deadline on their infrastructure bill vote. The spending package is now being cut down. We're understanding to around $2 trillion, but hopes for some to raise the cap on SALT deductions are likely dead. We're talking about that right now with New York Congresswoman and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee member, Foreign Affairs Committee member as well, Nicole Malliotakis. And Congresswoman, it's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for being here. Let me get your take on all of this. We started with 4 bills. Now we've got punting. 2 and 3. We're punting some of these bills to later on in the year, hiking the debt limit by $480 billion to $28.98 trillion. These numbers are wildly high. Your thoughts on where we are?
Well, my thoughts are that Congress is just not just have the power of the purse, but they have an obligation to ensure that these tax dollars are spent appropriately. And when you look at some of the inspectors general reports that have come out with how COVID relief has been riddled with waste and fraud to the tune of maybe hundreds of billions of dollars, and also look at what has occurred in Afghanistan, where billions more have been wasted, and you hear Secretary Blinken wanting to send more money there. You know, my issue is that we should be reducing some of the funds that we're spending as opposed to increasing the debt limit. And so I'm very concerned about what Congress is about to do here, but I'm equally as concerned about this $3.5 trillion, and whether it ends up being $2 trillion or $3.5 trillion doesn't matter. The reality is that it's continuing to indebt future generations. It's continuing to increase inflation and put pressure on the cost of goods on every American family. And we know as New Yorkers, when Democrats tell you that they're going to create programs that are supposed to ease the burden on working and middle class, what does it do? It increases our taxes, it increases our cost of living, and it's driving New Yorkers out. It's certainly not a framework that we should be implementing now on the federal level.
What's the story on the SALT deduction, Congresswoman? Do you want that in there? I know that some of your colleagues are pushing for it, and in order to pay for it, they want this 80,000 new auditors at the IRS, the $80 billion Biden is allocating to the IRS so that they can surveil our bank accounts and tell the IRS every transaction $600 or more. That's how they're going to pay for a SALT deduction. Is it in or is it out?
I don't know what's going to happen just yet. I do know that, look, I'm always in favor of giving more tax dollars back to hardworking New Yorkers, but we also have to make sure that that burden is not increased by our mayor and our governor. What good is it if we give money back to the taxpayer on the federal level and then the city and the state just increase taxes and take it on their end? So that is my #1 concern. But what I will say also is that the Democrats, there are a handful of Democrats from New York, New Jersey, and California that said they will not vote for any bill unless it contains the SALT deduction. Let's see if they keep their word on that, because that could essentially kill the entire package.
Let me turn to the China threat. We've got a new report from the Wall Street Journal that says U.S. troops have been deployed in Taiwan for at least a year. The troops apparently conducting training to shore up Taiwan's defenses as China and its aggression continues to mount. We've got Chinese warplanes flying into Taiwan now as a regular occurrence. Last weekend was quite the weekend with so many planes. Congresswoman, your thoughts on where this is going, and will the U.S. support Taiwan in the event China invades the country?
It's certainly an escalating situation, and actually this weekend is the 110th anniversary of Taiwan National Day. Taiwan is a very important strategic ally to the United States of America. We should continue to support its sovereignty. We should continue to support its desire for freedom and democracy. And China is, I think, exerting itself because they see what occurred in Afghanistan and that the Biden administration is incredibly weak at this time. I think a lot of this that you see happening with China in the Taiwan airspace is a test of the Biden administration. Look, we should lend support, certainly to Taiwan, because they're an ally and strategic in its location, but it should be concerning to people all around the world what is occurring there with China's increased aggression, not just in Taiwan, but all over the world. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't look like there's real teeth to any China policy. despite China's aggression. So we're focused on this story, and we'll continue to. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Nicole Malliotakis joining us in New York. Coming up, President Biden